Hey everybody, welcome back to Tim Travels. It's Terry, your host. So I'm here in Wisconsin, and America's Dairyland. Capital is Madison. So I delivered a load this morning to New Berlin, Wisconsin, which is in, I think it's in Waukesha County. It's over closer to Milwaukee. I'm in Elkhorn right now. It just so happened that there was I ran out of hours at the receiver, and so I was like, well, I'm going to PC to a truck stop and do my break. Well, there was a Love's like 14 miles away, and there was a Love's like 30 miles away. And those were really the two closest truck stops to where I was, I think. Maybe there's something else, but anyway. But I know the one that's 14 miles away used to be a Flying J, and it's kind of a crap hole. But the one that's 30 miles away is brand new, and it's pretty nice. I've been here one other time. But the other thought that I had in my head was, well, I've picked up an Elkhorn before. In fact, there's a couple other Prime trucks here. So I'm like, maybe I'll get lucky, and when they give me a pre-plan, it'll be an Elkhorn. Well, sure enough, I was in taking a shower, and got a pre-plan, picking up an Elkhorn sometime tonight. It's going back to Hershey in Pennsylvania. And then I'm probably going to try to get one more load in before I'm home Sunday night. Then kind of doing a couple of things next week at home. Got a dentist appointment. Hopefully my son will start orientation in Pittston. But then we're also going on vacation. We're kind of doing this celebration of our 30th wedding anniversary with all our kids, and we're staying at a B&B. We basically rented the whole house up in Vermont. Just so happens that the house is owned by a friend of ours. It's been a friend, actually, before my wife and I got married. So that's how long we've known. My wife has known her longer than I have, but it's still been 30 plus years that we've known her. So she's up there, and so it'll be good to catch up with her and support her business. So I had some comments about the video that I posted yesterday about factoring, and one man was really nice about, he was basically like, and you could go back and look at the comments on that video, but he basically was like, look, I've been doing factoring for many years, and it's just kind of part of my business. And so I commented, I'm like, I really think this is costing you more than you think. And you can kind of glean that from the comments. But then he said, well, what are my options? And so I said, look, that's kind of a detailed discussion, but I'd like to have it in a video. And I think what I want to do is kind of expand on that and talk about just credit in general. And, so anyway, that's not going to be this video, but I am going to do a video on that because I saw an article where people are starting to buy stuff on credit cards just to like make ends meet. Like they're buying their macaroni and cheese at the store on credit cards. And look, I'd be lying to you if I said I've always used credit wisely. I've always spent my money wisely. That's not true. But I am a firm believer in learning from other people's mistakes. So I'm going to do that video. You can learn from some of my mistakes. You can learn from mistakes that I've seen other people make, including people that I litigated against, because I represented big credit card companies, name brands. And I could tell you, I'm happy to share with you information that I can that's not, privileged or confidential. And I'll even share some some information about other credit card companies that are advertising on TV all the time that have some interesting tricks, and I never did represent these companies, so I'm more than happy to expose that. So anyway, that's coming up. So and I probably won't get to it today, but I will get to it in the next couple of days. So anyway, things I really hate about trucking. So I want you to take a look at this picture, and then I'm going to talk about it. So this is a picture that I took in my side view mirror of my trailer, but take a look at it. So if you're an astute observer, as I am, you may notice that the back tire of that set of tandems is actually sticking out farther than the front tire. Now, there are a couple of reasons why that could be happening. One, the rear axle on the trailer is just totally jacked up. Two, there are different size tires. Or three, and I mean, these are the top three, but there could be, I guess, other reasons. But three, it's the same size tire, but it's a different size wheel or rim. Well, it turns out that the answer is number three. So I had that trailer on my back, it was loaded, and I just happened to stop in Pittston. I was stopping to do my 30-minute break, but I was like, I don't like that. And I picked this trailer up in Maine, by the way, and it had a load of paper, so it was pretty heavy. And I was like, I'm just going to pull in and, have them change that. And so I pulled into inbound, and, I walked to the back. I limped to the back because, as I mentioned, my knee's kind of jacked up. And, there's a guy back there, and I was like, hey, are you changing any tires? And I didn't tell him exactly. I just said, hey, here I am. I'm keeping the trailer. I'm just stopping for a short period of time. So he's like, yeah, we're changing this right rear one. I said, well, what about this left rear one? He's like, oh, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, yeah, there is. It's like not the same as the other one. I said, it's got the same tread size, 455. And by the way, if you don't know how to read tread sizes and sidewall height, these tires, at least the tires on that trailer, were 455. So there's three numbers you're going to see on a tire, okay? And this works for car tires too. So the tires on that trailer were 455/50. 22.5, I think. But let's not worry about the 22.5, whether I'm right about that or not, it doesn't really matter. But 455 is the number of millimeters of the tread width. So 455 millimeters. All right. And the 50/50 means that the sidewall is 50% of the height of the tread width. Now that last number, the 22.5, and again, I don't know if that, I'm pretty sure that's right. 22.5 is the number of inches of diameter of the rim. Okay? So like if you had a car that had like 235, 45, 16, that would just mean, that's your first number is your width in millimeters. Then, 45s is going to be a little bit lower profile, 45%. And then this, what did I say? 16. Then that's the rim diameter. Okay, so anyway, I verified that the tread, that the tire size was the same as the one on the front axle. So basically I had four tires of the same size, but only three of them had the same size rims. and meaning the depth to sorry, to the bolts, I can't think of the word I'm trying to, anyway, to lug bolts. Okay, lug bolts. So I said, well, hey, this is the wrong tire. And they're like, oh, you know, that's not a big deal. I'm like, really? I said, well, why isn't it? You know, it's not uniform. And the thing is, if the other 3 wheels were the same as this one, I wouldn't have had a problem with it, right? Because you can have different depths, but what pissed me off is that I identified a problem. And by the way, so I reached out to RA. They said go talk to the trailer shop. The guy that the trailer shop lead confirmed that what I was saying was right. Because my question to these guys was, well, would you do that on your own car? Well, no. Well, then why are you doing it on this trailer that I'm dragging around America, right? There's a right way to do things and a wrong way. You don't put a mismatched set of tires and wheels on a trailer. I wouldn't let them do it to my tractor on my drives, right? Why do I want to drive that around? And by the way, it's not just about like uniformity. It's about wear on the tires. The tires on that side of the truck are going to wear unevenly, right? You have a higher risk of having a failure of a tire because they don't wear the same, right? And the other thing too is when you don't have the tires aligned with each other, the trailer handles differently, right? Because, you know, it's the tire on the other end of that axle is closer, it's farther underneath the trailer, right? That offset makes the trailer actually want to move in accordance with that axle after the front axle is closer. So anyway, that's one thing that pisses me off. Okay, here's another thing. So I just don't like it when I identify a problem and they're like, oh, it's fine. Like, they talk to me, honestly, I'm doing this as a shout out to my female friends, colleagues, and loved ones, right? I hate it when a mechanic acts like they're smarter than you when you probably know what you're talking about. And that's something that the mechanics do to women across the board. And I'm sure for women truckers, it's even worse. But I know that I was right about that. And this freaking 21-year-old mechanic, and then another guy was like, yeah, it's fine. They do that in Springfield all the time. And don't get me started. Okay, so here's another thing that I really don't like. All right, well, that's not really about trucking, but you get the picture. Another thing I don't like is I had a live loaded call last night, and I left out of Columbus, and I call, and I'm on neglect for a while. I'm waiting and waiting. Finally, somebody picks up, and I'm pretty sure working from home. Either that or they got like a TV or a loud radio at their desk. Because in the background, the whole time, first this person's like, well, did you put in your electronic, did you put it in on your departure call? And I'm like, yeah. Well, are you sure that the message, because I don't see it. And by the way, this person tells me this almost every time I speak with them. Oh, I can't see it if you did it on your phone. And I'm like, well, I'm not doing it on my Qualcomm because I'm driving by this point, right? But I know it went through because I checked. And so then they're like, okay, well, I'll just have to enter it. I'll just enter it for you, which kind of bugs me because they're not doing it for me. I already did my job, right? And now I'm following up. But they're like, okay, and so, I'm like driving and telling them the numbers, and a lot of the numbers were really easy to remember, right? Like how many pallets I had, and it was 26, and the weight was easy to remember because it was 45,450, and so anyway, I hear this baseball game on in the background, and every time they quit speaking, because they have a sound canceling microphone, every time they quit speaking, I could hear the baseball game, like play by play. And I'm like, man, and I didn't come right out and say it. I thought they might take a hint, right? I said, hey, I'm hearing some background noise. Maybe there's something that, you could fix. And so what do? They just talk louder, like I'm deaf or something. And, I don't mind if you work from home and you're on the clock and you're watching the Royals game or the Cardinals game because you live in Missouri, right? I don't care because it's really not my business. However, when you're going to take a work call, turn the frickin' thing down, mute it. Okay? Because you can still watch it on the TV. Just mute the damn thing. Okay? And then when somebody mentions it, don't talk louder like they're deaf. If I was deaf, I wouldn't have been able to hear this going on in the background. So just be professional, right? Like, just pretend, phone it in, right? Just pretend like there's not a baseball game that you're more interested in than taking my call. And and also when you do that, it kind of makes me wonder if the 10 minutes I was on hold was because you were, like the bases were loaded and you wanted to watch until they, got out of the inning or whatever. So please don't do that, okay? Okay, so if you watch my channel, I don't spread rumors, but I'm willing to start them. So another thing I really don't like about the trucking industry is when truckers from other companies complain about how fast prime drivers drive. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you're not paying for my fuel, which you're not, okay, mind your own business, okay? Go around me. And if you can't get around me, then get up earlier in the morning so I'm not in front of you when you're going down the road, like through a construction site. And hey, call me crazy, but if it says 55 in a construction zone, guess how fast I'm not going? Over 55. So I don't care how much you use your Jake brake behind me with your loud ass truck. I don't care and by the way, if you flash your lights at me in a situation like that, holy crap, we're gonna find out how slow I really can go. I am not kidding you, because there's never a minimum speed in a construction zone. I'll start seeing ghosts and shadows of construction workers and state troopers. We'll be doing like 32 through there, okay? So if you don't like how fast I drive, go around, take a different highway, quit driving a truck and a car and a motorcycle. I don't really care. But I do want to say this. Prime is aware of the fact that we drive slow. And Prime is, a lot of trailers are licensed in Maine. If you've ever noticed, like trailers that are like companies from all over the country, for whatever reason, license their trailers in Maine. I don't know if they're cheaper or Maine, but but there's a lot of stuff licensed, a lot of trailers licensed in Maine, a lot of lease trailers licensed in Maine. So Maine has kind of this specialty with commercial vehicles and stuff. And Prime, notwithstanding our base plates have always been from Missouri, Prime is getting ready to transition. Transition's the right word. They're getting ready to transition to Maine base plates, and I saw an example of one of those while I was in Maine These are going to be the new prime base plates. Take a look. Yes, so not only are we slow, but we're going to put it on our license plate. Okay? So if you don't like it, tough. But I don't like you flashing your lights at me or blowing your horn. And that, that's another thing. It's like, dude, blow your horn at somebody else. I mean, like I had a guy from this company, Coalesco or something. Like, they must think their shit doesn't stink. Because I was passing a truck in Utah a few weeks back, and the speed limit's 80 in Utah, but the other truck was going slower. I was going 65, and I'm passing the truck. But then this Coalesco guy with the American flags all over his truck, he flies up behind me, and then I finally do get past the guy. And it was a little bit of a drag race for a second, but honestly, real time, I'm thinking 90 seconds, right? And what's this guy do? He blows his horn at me. Like, dude, first of all, I don't give a crap what you think, but second of all, I was doing everything I could. I really didn't get up that morning and go, I'm going to piss off one of these guys from Coalesco out of Michigan. And hopefully one of them will happen to show up behind me in Utah. If you got a problem with that, then don't drive through Utah anymore. That's all I got to say. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and come back if you got questions about credit agreements, credit cards, consumer credit, business to business credit, and there is a difference, so I'll talk about it. Put them in the comments to that other video or even to this one, and I'll get through all that, and we'll have a frank discussion about money, and about how banks and other creditors trick people and screw people over. So anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.